the Dieter and Hutch podcast. We're talking 2025 NFL draft, and we're talking running backs. And Jake, a lot of these guys have me really excited, and we got a lot of guys to break down today. Let's get right into it. You're going to go with a really off the board selection here, it seems, for your first running back. I mean, tell me about this Ashton Jeanty fella from
Yeah, not a lot of people have heard of him. So I wouldn't necessarily say Genty's like my favorite running back in this class, but I do think, after providing our hot takes, right, where we said,
in which I said you don't have to
yes,
own it. You were there, but that doesn't mean you were just an
correct.
accessory to the crime. I don't think Ashton Jeanty is worthy of a first round pick.
I disagree. I don't think he is worthy of a top 15 pick. I like Ashton Jeanty, but I do not see the sort of crazy upside as a receiver, as a total paradigm shifting running back that you'd see from Saquon Barkley, from Christian McCaffrey,
Mhm.
from Bijan Robinson, where you say, "Oh, this guy is just the most gifted athlete I've ever seen. Can come out of the backfield, catch passes in crazy ways."
A player that you can specifically overlook the lack of value in taking a running back in the first round, right? Like no one has come
Right.
up with this running back in the first round thing by accident and everyone's just blindly following it. There are too many good running backs. There is not a positional scarcity. And so, how good do you be to where you get the inverse of the quarterback situation, which is if you're even sort of good, we'll find a way to get you in the first round because we need quarterbacks. We're desperate for quarterbacks. No team is desperate for running backs. Some teams have 5 of them that they could reasonably start. And so, how good do you have to be considered worthy of a first round pick? And we're talking again, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey. When those guys get drafted, those guys hit. We're trying to avoid the Clyde Davis hilarious or whatever. Like we're trying to avoid those. I don't see Ashton Jeanty in that level. What do you see when you see Ashton Jeanty?
I
Positively, of
see a
course.
guy who is very, very, very difficult to tackle. He has nonsensical balance and lower half strength. His ability to bounce off and discard tackles is unparalleled. Has really good speed. I think he's going to be more of like a high 4.4s guy than a low 4.4s. Not like elite speed. I think some people are mistaking that, thinking he's going to be like below 4.4. I don't see that at all. I think it's going to be like a high 4.4s, maybe even 4.5. But he glides and he's able to maintain speed and use body control to cut. He doesn't cut in the same way you'd see as like a jump cutter, right? It's smaller movements, but he can cut well. I think he stops his feet a little bit between the tackles and isn't going to like use a lot of spin moves or a crazy amount of flashy craft. But
Right.
I think he's just going to be a really productive NFL running back. To me, I see the tiniest bit of Steven Jackson. I
Hey
see a little
now.
bit of Nick Chubb,
Okay.
of
I get
just a
that.
guy who's really, really, really difficult to tackle.
Hmm.
I think he's got the ability when he gets outside, the numbers, like you see. Listen, I know the Penn State game, the numbers weren't great, but I saw him bounce off a ton of tackles in that game in really tough spots. I won't pretend I was crazy impressed with his performance the whole game.
Right.
But to me, he's a guy that I would feel okay with picking pick 20 on, pick 20 to
Okay.
32. I feel like that should be his reasonable range because I do think he's a guy that has plus speed, not elite speed, but plus speed, incredible balance. He's going to be a nightmare to tackle. If you
Yep.
put him like on the Broncos, I mean, at
That's
that
fair. That
altitude,
would be scary.
that would be he's going to run for 1500 plus yards.
Yes.
Like he just is. And he's so well balanced physically and he's got so much strength. He's got I kind of think kind of long arms for his size. He's able to swat guys away and bounce off. So again, in terms of like
Yeah.
is he going to run the greatest option route you ever seen? Not at all.
No, I mean
No.
it's great that you want to take a two down running back in the first round. I mean that's great for you. I feel really good about that pick.
I think he can pick up blitzes fairly well. And listen, like I think he can run with the ball in his hands, but I see much better pass catching receivers out of the backfield in this class from a number of other running backs, and I think that's one of my bigger concerns with him. But I don't really have any question about him producing. I just think he's going to be really solid, but I think the upside is probably a bit lower than what people are suggesting. Like drafting him in the top 10, I don't see that being worth it.
There's not even a consensus on if he's the number one running back in this class, right?
Yeah.
Amarian Hampton out of North Carolina, who is fun as hell. And listen, it's not to say that Jeanty wasn't fun as hell. I think that's why everyone has him so highly ranked. He's fun as hell to watch. He was blockbuster for Boise State. He was blue turf Hollywood. And
I think he was faster on the blue turf, by the way.
yeah, I don't know what they're doing on that. It might not have Phil. Who's to say? But Amarian Hampton out of North Carolina, who anyone who watched him goes, oh, this guy's fun as hell. This guy's really good. There's now a lot of buzz talking about him in the first round. And it's like, instead of doubling down on the mistake of first round running backs, how about we just admit that neither of these guys are first round running backs? They should both be early second round picks, or I'll give you something here, Jake. Late first rounders. Let's meet in the middle. And instead of this, oh, well, we could have two running backs go in the top 10. Not in this class, you shouldn't. But hey, dumb teams want to do dumb stuff. That's why they keep picking in the top 10. You mentioned that you don't like Jeanty compared to some of the other running backs as it pertains to pass catching. Let me tell you about one of those pass catchers. Let me tell you about a well-rounded 3-down running back, my man, TreVeyon Henderson. Now, I am not alone in loving TreVeyon Henderson. Anyone who has played or watched TreVeyon Henderson is all about TreVeyon Henderson. He's got a gift. He's got a gift. He brings people together. He's an outstanding football player. Now, early for a running back, I'm willing to talk late round 2 for TreVeyon Henderson. I am higher. TreVeyon Henderson would be the number 1 running back on my board because I can see him immediately contributing to a winning football team in a variety of different ways. Now, do I love the fact that he's kind of a one-speed guy? No, not particularly. Do I love the fact that he's 205 pounds? No. And in fact, I'll talk about how much I don't like that with some of these other running backs later on. But you watch TreVeyon Henderson and there's an aura. That's what the kids say. I'm going to steal it. There's an aura about him that he is in control. He is in control of everything that's happening on the field. He was, I think, the most important offensive player, and I include Jeremiah Smith in this conversation for Ohio State last year. Jeremiah Smith was incredible, and he's outstanding, and no one's ever going to say a bad thing about Jeremiah Smith. But if TreVeyon Henderson didn't go, Ohio State didn't go. And you could make the argument, and I'm willing to hear it, that he wasn't even the best running back on his own team. But TreVeyon Henderson was the leader of that team in so many different ways. He is a great outside zone back. I think he's damn good on inside zone. He plays heavier than he is, which is something I always love to see when you see a guy at like 205, but he plays heavier.
He's real tough.
In Big Ten football, by the way. Say what you will about the Big Ten. I've said a lot of negative things about the Big Ten, but like they don't lack for heft on the interior of the defensive line. You're not going up against some, dudes who are getting pushed around at 284 pounds. No, you got some big corn-fed boys in there.
You got
linebackers. You got linebackers that can't go sideline to sideline, but they can go through your number if they line you up. I mean, that's what the Big Ten is all about. They're still playing football like it's the 1990s over there. This guy's at 205 pounds, and he's playing that style, and he is winning consistently. In fact, he is more than winning. He's showing these dudes up. He is a 3-down back. He's a great catcher out of the backfield. He has separation speed. His GPS data is going to be better than his combine data. His combine data was the best at the combine. His GPS data is going to be off the charts. I can't wait for someone to leak it because I'm certain that he's touched some crazy miles per hour, some crazy accelerations. Put the ball in this guy's hands and let him win you football games. The comp that NFL.com has for him is perfect. I'm just going to steal it outright. Aaron Jones. All Aaron Jones did was win the Green Bay Packers football games. Now then he, weighed about 205 pounds and got beat up, and then he went to the Vikings, and Kevin O'Connell was like, I can't trust this guy anymore. But the idea was there for about 7 years that Aaron Jones, he's just an outstanding football player, immediate winner, somebody that you never have to worry about. Pretty good fantasy player, but not an elite fantasy player. And if we're talking early running backs, and you're giving me Jeanty or Hampton or even Judkins, his backfield mate, I'm saying I'll wait on all of them, and I'll take TreVeyon Henderson above consensus, but I'm going to take him, and I'm never going to second guess myself for a second because I know this guy's going to produce for me at the NFL level.
I think that's fair. I mean, listen. I'm an Ohio State fan. I don't have a single bad thing to say about TreVeyon Henderson, and you're right about the thing of like we talked about Judkins. I want to like him more than I do, and I like him. I like Judkins.
Everyone likes Judkins,
but there was something to, like you said, if Henderson didn't go, they kind of didn't go. He really was the heart and soul of that team, and when they got in uncomfortable spots, he'd get him out of it. And yeah, I just don't have a negative thing to say about the kid.
You used a word to describe him, which was perfect. He plays with a tempo. He plays with a rhythm. He has a feel. Like this is a guy who he's in control. And that's what I'm looking for in a running back, because there's a lot of running backs who have all these traits, all these positive qualities, and then the play starts and they're like, I don't know what's happening.
Right.
And we'll see a lot of those guys in the later rounds, right? Where it's just they don't know what's happening.
Probably have some on my list.
Well, let's talk about the next guy on my list. Another guy who plays with incredible pacing and timing and understanding. He's not as well-rounded as a TreVeyon Henderson, but a DJ Giddens. Let me tell you right now, if you're playing in an outside zone system, and you're thinking to yourself, you know who I'd really, let me throw it this way, right? Let me throw this at you. If you're an NFL team right now who is considered signing Raheem Mostert at age 33, just draft DJ Giddens instead. He's not as fast as Raheem Mostert because no one really on the planet who plays football is as fast as Raheem Mostert.
Except for his teammate.
And perhaps Isaac Guerrero. But this is a guy who is just, when it comes to being an outside zone back, puts his foot on the ground, accelerates out of that step, and he goes. And he's got straight line speed, a little bit of a long strider, sure, but it doesn't matter if his strides are long or short because you ain't catching him. And he has vision, pace, understanding, competence. He looks like a man against boys out there. He doesn't need all the jukes and the shoulder shimmies and all that stuff. No, I'm going here.
Gen Z nonsense.
I'm not even saying that. There's a lot of guys. We all love watching that. I grew up with Barry Sanders, right? Like it's not to denigrate that. It's just to say the fastest thing between 2 points is a straight line. And he goes, okay, I'm going to go this way, and then I'm going to go in a straight damn line. And if you block this right, I'm not going to get touched. And I just think that DJ Giddens is an outstanding prospect. Kansas State didn't have a very good offensive line by Kansas State standards this year. The Big 12 is also not a very good tackling league, so maybe that evened out. But I think DJ Giddens is one of those guys that, again, right place, right time, right scheme, can come in and have an immediate impact for a team and put up some pretty big numbers. In particular, I want to name one team. I think that he could start for the Chargers next year and put up massive numbers.
I could see that.
Just because they have the offensive line that's going to get the job done, and he's going to take full advantage of it. He doesn't need he doesn't need to create anything. He just needs to take what's given. And if you give him a little bit, he'll give you all of it. He's an outstanding running back. We're talking probably, it's certainly day 3, maybe round 4, maybe round 5. I don't think it's going to get saucy enough for him to get up into round 3. But if we're talking, pick 125, this is a guy who can give you 750 to 1,000 yards as a rookie if you just need him. And I think he's actually pretty decent on third down. I think that he's got more. Now, I don't know if I'd immediately make him a 3-down back at the NFL level.
Right.
You don't have to. But I think that he has the ability to be that guy for a team. He reminds me a lot of some of the Mostert, Brian Robinson. He's got a little in there. Like there's a lot of really solid running backs who DJ Giddens just looks like, and I think that someone's going to be extremely happy that they drafted him at what is a very reasonable rate. He's the Honda Accord of running backs. You're never going to complain about it. You're never, okay, maybe a little bit more expensive than you thought when you went to the dealership, but then, just reliable. He's going to give you 5-6 good years. Going to give you anything you need.
Yeah.
Doesn't have that upside. Doesn't, he's not giving you that turbo engine like a TreVeyon Henderson. He's not going to be a game changer. He's not going to be someone you're going to work the offense around. But if he's there, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel good having
Yep.
DJ Giddens as a backup or as your starter, depending on your circumstance. And if you got a good team around him, look out. Look out.
Yeah.
Talk to me
I
about
like it.
Talk to me about this gentleman from another Big 12 school. What a weird sentence. Tell me about another J, RJ Harvey from UCF.
So, you know, all of the politics aside, if you're comparing him to a car, it's more like a Tesla where it's herky jerky as hell, but it's gonna you can take off.
Are we
You
getting
can
recalled today?
Yeah, probably not built well. He can absolutely launch. My superlative for him is an angle destroyer.
Awesome.
He is faster than everybody on the field, shuffling laterally, and can buy himself time figuring out. So again, I like to mention some negatives off the rip. The thing about him, and I have like a 4th round grade on him.
Okay.
Between the tackles, he's doing the thing that used to drive my mom insane when she'd watch football, where guys are just herky jerky and like waiting.
Yep.
Like he doesn't fall
opposite.
forward. Right.
The
He doesn't
opposite
fall
of a Giddens.
Right. He doesn't fall forward and like just take the little bit of path for a couple yards that are there. He's trying to always make the big play. Like some of the quarterbacks we mentioned, like a little bit of like Cam Ward of let me try and find the right angle. And here's the thing. When he gets even a little bit of an angle, he's gonna hit a home run because this guy, he's got 4.4 speed, and it looks even better than that. He led the nation in both touchdowns and explosive runs. He ran for nearly 1,600 rushing yards and 22 touchdowns, and he was the only running back in this class with more than 20% of his runs as explosives, which are 10 plus yards. So like you get this guy, and he gets outside of the tackles. It is insane. He's, again, not a plus player between the tackles, way too much hesitation, tries to do too much at times. But like, and I'm not sure he's like an incredible route runner, but you put him on a wheel route, he's going to destroy linebackers. He scored like an 80-yarder off that where the linebacker had no chance in the world. But every single play, he's got home run upside. He is small. He's like a tiny guy, but on 3rd downs, I see him blocking his ass off. Like he is strong for a guy who's like 5'8", and he's got the leverage. So, is this guy going to probably be an every down player? Probably not. He's like a change of pace home run hitter. And I do think you need a good running backs coach. Like take a Bobby Turner to say, hey, enough with the hesitation. Go. Just go. But when he's outside the tackles, he can do the Raheem Mostert thing. If you think there's no more space left and he is on the edge and suddenly he's running for 20, 30 yards, I compare him a little bit to Devon Achane and Braylon Allen for the Jets.
Wow. That's a lot of speed.
A lot of speed. A lot of speed for this guy. And I think his testing data would be like he ran a 4.4, but it does feel like he's a little bit faster than that.
That's saying something.
So, yeah, he's got some problems, like in terms of we were talking about tempo. Some of these other guys, he lacks a little bit of tempo, a little bit of feel, like he's herky-jerky trying to bounce around and do too much. Needs to simplify his game. But no one is a better home run hitter in this class than this guy.
What about his receiving skills? Because if you have a home run hitter, if you have a guy like Achane, the brilliance of Achane is you can line him up as your slot receiver. What about RJ Harvey as a receiving option?
He seems like he's got fine hands. I didn't see enough of them using him in option routes or any sort of crafty route running choices that like gave me a sense of what his craft is like. But I saw that wheel route and it's like, okay, you can give him some simple options to put him in space. And I do think you can run some bubble screens. You can run some weird sort of tunnel screens for him. There's a lot of different stuff you can do to get him the ball with blockers in front of him and simplify the game where there's 2 or 3 blockers on the edge. And you say, go, follow them and figure it out. I do think the explosion is worth at earliest a late 3rd round pick.
Okay.
Late 3rd, 4th is kind of how I see this guy. And it could be a bust, right? Like he could just be trying to do too much and his size is a concern. But I see him being strong enough to compensate for the size that the small stature, and I see that home run potential and that speed is as really, really dynamic.
Let me ask you one more. Kick return, punt return game.
Yes. Yes.
Yes?
Big time. Big time. Absolutely. I don't know about punt returning because that's a sort of a different craft, but kick returning, 100% you put him back there.
What about Bhayshul Tuten? Tuten? Getting a
I
tutty
don't
from
know.
Tutton?
Bhayshul Tuten.
Bhayshul
Um,
Tuten.
I describe him as a murder mouse. Um,
I'm sure he'll love that.
these guys are a little bit similar.
Yeah.
Um, so he ran the fastest 40-yard dash of anybody, 4.32 seconds. Ran for almost 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns. Again, small but packs a wallop. Like he was weirdly like used as almost a fullback at Virginia Tech, and he was knocking some guys off balance, which is pretty funny because he's a squatty, short dude. But he's got like a great center back. Him is a little bit more natural on the outside in terms of outside zone runs than Tutton, but they are similar. He can really scoot. He might need more of like a Mostert development path as a special teamer, but he's got sneaky home run hitting speed. He can discard tacklers with some smooth cuts, and he reaches top speed quickly. Like if you start day 3 and you're in, I would say early round 5 and he's there, you're gonna want him.
Let's just move on from Tutton because I like both of those guys. We're talking day 3 running backs. It's just boom or bust, right? It's
Yep.
like that specifically with how they play. It is certainly like that. If any of these guys make the team and are like big fantasy options for you next year, it wouldn't shock me. If these guys don't have an NFL job come the end of August, wouldn't shock me. So let's just, it's kind of a vibes thing. It's kind of a stylistic thing. And the guy that I want to talk about is somebody whose style is kind of unmatched in this class. Damien Martinez from the U, who just runs through dudes' faces. He is an absolute, pardon the pun, blast to watch. He is so much fun. And the comp is pretty simple. He's a 5'11" James Conner. 5'11", 217. He is here for a good time, not for a long time. Let's be clear. He is here to inflict pain, and that looks a lot easier against ACC competition and Bethune-Cookman than it does against guys in the NFL. But you get him one-on-one with any sort of a defensive back, and it is over for the defensive back. There is no chance you're bringing this guy down. He is sneaky athletic for how he plays, right? He's not running away from anybody, so you might think, oh, he can't. Maybe he can't, but statistically on some of these combine scores, you might think that he can. He's got 4.5 speed at 217. Elite, hardly. Requisite, absolutely. Good splits on all of those things. Huge broad jump, 10-foot broad jump, 35-inch vertical. Again, you look at him, he's in the 93rd percentile of all running backs ever. We're talking about a guy in 6th, 7th round who's fun as hell, who's going to bring a physical element. And I think every team needs somebody like this, right? In a game that is now more schemed up than ever, right? There are no plays that are just go run through this dude's face. Power football, I know it still exists. I'm not saying that we're getting soft or anything. This isn't a larger commentary, but a lot of the game is now, because of the Kyle Shanahan tree and so many other things, it's all about exploiting mismatches. Well, there's no better mismatch than I'm going to run through you and pile you deep into the turf. That's a mismatch. And the physical nature of the game, I'm not saying it's going away, but it isn't emphasized a lot, except you really need it in certain situations, particularly deep in the red zone, particularly on 3rd and short. And we've gotten into a world where the quarterback handles that now. Why bother when you can have a ready-made battering ram in Damien Martinez, who is more than willing to take on the responsibility and the work? He seems to crave the contact. I can't get enough of watching this guy. And let's bring it to the 49ers for a second, because that is, our hometown team. That's the team we talk about the most. The 49ers need a player like this. I understand that he's not as big or as strong or as fast as an Isaac Guerendo, but Isaac Guerendo does not have this kind of temperament. Patrick Taylor is somebody that the 49ers just re-signed for reasons I can't quite explain.
Just a guy they know.
He's a nice guy. And every now and again in practice, you're like, "Huh, is Patrick Taylor good?" And then he gets on the field, and you go, "Oh, he isn't." That's really interesting.
Right.
And maybe Damien Martinez is too, but you got nothing to lose. You're tossing away pick 228 on him. Who gives a damn? And you don't have somebody who, when it is 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and you don't block well, because you don't, and you're not going to get any better at it, that can just say, doesn't matter if the linebacker's here. I'm getting those 2 yards. Damien Martinez is my guy. I can't get enough of watching him. I think he's going to be an absolute stud who plays 3 years in the NFL before something horrible happens to him and is, people talk about retiring his number. This is a fan favorite if there ever was one. I love Damien Martinez in the second round.
The 49ers, you lose Jordan Mason, you lose sort of that physical edge you have of and we talked about tempo a little bit. You need a guy who's willing to like wait a second, but not try and bounce it outside, who's willing to wait for a seam to go through the middle and get 4 yards on a 2-yard play.
That's right.
Like that matters, especially when you're trying to wear on a defense. You're trying to be physical. You're trying to at least trying to slow the game down, let your offensive line wear on a defensive front, make it easier on your entire offense. You need a little bit of physicality, and I think the Niners lost that with Jordan Mason. So this would be a big addition.
4.46 yards per attempt. Played at Oregon State. He had 4.5 yards after contact. He was second in the class. To be fair, Ashton Jeanty was number 1. Only 8% of his runs were stuffed on the first tackler. Ashton Jeanty, he's a first-round pick because this is the next guy, right? And I think a lot of the measurables are probably going to line up very similarly to Ashton Jeanty. You're getting half of the Ashton Jeanty in that, hey, I'm going to get through anyway. It doesn't matter. You can try to tackle me. It doesn't matter. And you're telling me that I have to give up draft capital that teams sometimes just give away because they don't want to take a pick. Like legitimately every year in the 7th round. Not that you would ever notice this because
I don't think Martinez is a 7th round guy. I think he's.
Where do you think?
5th, 4th.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, at least I'm right. I mean, at least other people are seeing what I'm seeing because, just cursory glance at it, it seemed as if he was going to be a very late pick, somewhere in the 200s. And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do this thing. This sounds awesome. And this is a weird running back class, right? It's weird at the top. I think it's very sane in the middle, and at the bottom, it is dynamic.
Yeah,
more dynamic than usual.
Not a ton of totally well-rounded guys. No. There's a lot of like, what's your flavor, right? And I think Martinez is more in that like physical mold. And
totally.
The guys I mentioned a lot are like home run hitters who might whiff, right? And I won't pretend that's not on the table. But there is a total, like, you could go for speed. You can go, there's some crafty guys. There's like Trevor Etienne, who's like kind of an option route sort of guy.
Yeah. Etienne's a tricky one because we both really like Etienne. Bad testing scores, obviously the injury history. I'm not as high on Etienne as I was, and I'm wondering if you can talk me off that ledge, Jake.
No, he's becoming like a day 3 guy now, and I think that's why you say, okay, well, he didn't produce that well, partially because of the injuries.
Yeah.
But I like his tape. I like his tape. You've seen his brother in the NFL, so there's some pedigree there.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're talking about like round 5, I wouldn't feel bad about taking Etienne there.
Yeah. And listen, the beauty of running backs is that there's a lot of good ones. It's why you shouldn't take one in the first round. Sorry to come back.
No, I don't. I'm with you. I would not.
I hope that you take this podcast, this video, in the first round. When it pops up on your screen, don't scroll past it next time. Just come on in.
Let it scroll. Let it play in the background. Let it autoplay. Go back and watch the rest of it.
Let the computers somewhere in San Mateo know that you like this by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. We do some live shows on occasion too. Y'all should hop in on those. Join the SICKOS, both officially and unofficially. Hang on out. Maybe you'll get a draft guide out of it. Who's to say? We are to say. It's happening. Yeah, that's going to happen. Jake, I'm really excited to talk wide receivers and tight ends next. Should we do it?
Let's do it.